Hi everyone. Today we're going to go through what happens if you try to challenge an oil conglomerate like Chevron. We're going to go through the story of Steven Donziger and how he got brutalized by Chevron. So let's get started with this unfortunate story. How the environmental lawyer who won a massive judgment against Chevron lost everything. Steven Donziger won a multi-billion-dollar judgment against Chevron in Ecuador. The company sued him in New York, and now he's under house arrest. So this is from January last year. So almost 2 years ago now. There's Steven Donziger. You go for the big fish, you'll get spat on, unfortunately. Yep. Despite Donziger's current predicament, the case against Chevron in Ecuador was a spectacular victory. The twisted legal saga began in 1993 when Donziger and other attorneys filed a class action lawsuit in New York against Texaco on behalf of more than 30,000 farmers and indigenous people in the Amazon over massive contamination.
Of the cuties is here!
Thank you for the follow, Lens, and welcome to Cuties. Nice to have you on board. Like your vibe, thank you. I really appreciate that. Like your vibe too. The twisted legal saga began in 1993 when Donziger and other attorneys filed a class action suit in New York against Texaco on behalf of more than 30,000 farmers and indigenous people in the Amazon over massive contamination from the company's oiling drill there. Chevron, which bought Texaco in 2001, has insisted that Texaco cleaned up the area where it operated and that its former partner, the National Oil Company of Ecuador, was responsible for any remaining pollution. At Chevron's request, the legal proceedings over the Amazon Chernobyl were moved to Ecuador, where the courts were impartial and fair, as the oil company's attorney wrote in a filing at the time. The move to Ecuador, where the legal system does not involve juries, may have also appealed because it spared Chevron a jury trial. In any case, an Ecuadorian court ruled against Chevron in 2011 and ordered the company to pay $18 billion in compensation, an amount that was later reduced to $9.5 billion. After years of struggling with the health and environmental consequences of oil extraction, the impoverished Amazonian plaintiffs had won a historic judgment from one of the biggest corporations in the world. So an amazing victory to get like such a huge fucking sum put on a company like that. It never happens. They always get like some slap on the wrist, like a couple of millions here and there, which is like nothing to them. And yeah, I don't know why it got reduced. That sucks. But Donziger and his clients never had a moment to savor their David over Goliath victory. Even though the ruling was subsequently upheld by the Ecuadorian Supreme Court, Chevron immediately made clear that it would not be paying the judgment. Instead, Chevron moved its assets out of the country, making it impossible for the Ecuadorians to collect. That year, Chevron filed a Racketeer Influence and Corruption Organizations, or RICO, suit against Donziger in New York City. Although the suit originally sought roughly $60 billion in damages and civil trials involving monetary claims of more than 20 Although the suit originally sought roughly $60 billion in damages and civil trials involving monetary claims of more than 20 entitle a defendant to a jury, Chevron dropped the monetary claims 2 weeks before the trial. Oh, okay. They didn't want a jury. Right. In its statement, Chevron wrote that the company, quote, focused the RICO case on obtaining injunctive relief against the furtherance of Donziger's extortionate scheme against the company. Instead, that case was decided solely by Kaplan, who ruled in 2014 that the Ecuadorian judgment against Chevron was invalid because it was obtained through egregious fraud, and that Donziger was guilty of racketeering, extortion, wire fraud, money laundering, obstruction of justice, and witness tampering. The decision hinged on the testimony of an Ecuadorian judge named Alberto Guerra, who claimed that Donziger had bribed him during the original trial and that the decision against Chevron had been ghostwritten, which probably not true. Guerra was a controversial witness. Chevron prepped him on more than 50 occasions before his testimony, paid him hundreds of thousands of dollars, and arranged for the judge and his family members to move to the United States with a generous monthly stipend that was 20 times the salary he received in Ecuador. That seems like a very reliable source. In 2015, when Guerra testified in an international arbitration proceeding, he admitted that he had lied and changed his story multiple times. According to Chevron, Guerra's inaccuracies didn't change the thrust of his testimony. For his part, Judge Kaplan wrote that his court, quote, would have reached precisely the same result in this case, even without the testimony of Alberto Guerra, end quote. We didn't even need his testimony. In its statement, Chevron said that Guerra was relocated to the US for his safety and noted that the court found that the company's contact with the Ecuadorian judge were proper and transparent. Yeah, so that's like, it's complete bullshit, like, honestly. Like, but the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because Donziger is now going to prison because of all this. Chevron foe Donziger surrenders after losing bid to avert prison. So this is from last week. Disbarred lawyer Stephen Donziger, who was convicted of criminal contempt after a decades-long legal battle with Chevron Corp over rainforest pollution in Ecuador, surrendered to authorities Wednesday after losing his bid to stay out of prison during his appeal, his lawyers said. The Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals on Tuesday denied Donziger's request to delay his 6-month prison term or grant him bail as he challenges his conviction and sentences. His lawyer, Ronald Kuby, said in court documents Wednesday afternoon that he had surrendered and was in the custody of the federal prison in Danbury, Connecticut. So that's really sad. The contempt case stems from post-judgment orders in a civil case in which another Manhattan judge in 2014 barred enforcement in the United States of a $9.5 billion judgment against Chevron Corp that Donziger had won in Ecuadorian court, which we just discussed. The judge said that the Ecuadorian judgment had been secured through bribery, fraud, and extortion. Donziger, who was disbarred in New York last year, was charged with contempt in 2019 for failing to turn over his computer, phones, and other electronic devices, among other conduct. Yeah, the New York City resident has been in home detention since August 2019 to address concerns of flight risk. So he's been under house arrest for the past 2 years. Like, this is what Chevron did to this man. For what? For holding them accountable for polluting the Amazon rainforest and harming people. Like, there's like, watch some videos on one of my earlier streams of like people having like severe health effects from all the pollution around there because they live around that area. This is like incredibly corrupt. And this is him saying goodbye to his son as he's being taken to jail. Yeah, they don't have any guilty conscience. Yeah, it's truly remarkable. Unfortunately, the story doesn't get much more nice. The environmental and human rights lawyer Stephen Donziger joins us just before he's ordered to report to jail today after a years-long legal battle with the oil company Chevron and 813 days of house arrest. So this is from this is a transcript of this video. That's why it said. In 2011, Donziger won an $18 billion settlement against Chevron on behalf of 30,000 indigenous people in Ecuador for dumping 16 billion gallons of oil into their ancestral land in the Amazon. Since the landmark case, Donziger has faced a series of legal attacks from Chevron and a New York federal judge who has employed a private law firm. So the federal judge has employed a private law firm to look over the case that is linked to the oil company. So this New York federal judge has employed a private legal firm to prosecute Donziger that is linked to Chevron. Let that sink in. Nothing wrong here. Seems like a completely normal system to me. I don't know what you're complaining about. Amnesty International and United Nations human rights advocates, along with several US lawmakers, are calling for Donziger's immediate release. Chevron and these two judges, really allies of the fossil fuel industry, are trying to use me as a weapon to intimidate activists and lawyers who do this work, says Donziger. I need to be prosecuted by a neutral prosecutor, not by Chevron. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, how can this system just like be this way? And this is where like this is how capitalism is so completely broken, because it allows big companies to do this. They buy the judges, they buy the courts, they control everything. They buy the politicians, they buy the judges, they buy the courts. So if anyone tries to go against them, they just get crushed. They get crushed. Individuals just get crushed by them, because there's no way that you can get around this kind of stuff as an individual, because they have so much money and power, which is why like the free market is such a ludicrous idea, because this is what happens in a free market. The people in power amass more and more power, and then they monopolize their power and control the whole system. There needs to be systemic change. Absolutely, Logum. Yes, that's what I want. Systemic change. Oh, but if we just had less government intervention, real capitalism. Yeah, this is real capitalism. You'll have people saying like, well, this wouldn't happen if we had like real capitalism, or what we have now is crony capitalism or whatever. No, this is capitalism. This is exactly what it is. The US has been going more and more in the direction of less regulation, more and more and more. And what happens is the tendency towards monopoly. That's what happens, is that when companies become big enough, it's in their best interest not to compete with others, but to push out their competition so that they are the only game in town, or they're one of few games in town, so that they and a couple of other companies control the whole system. And then what do when they have amassed a huge amount of wealth? They start affecting politics because, you know, if it's free, then they can do that. They can do whatever they want with their money, right? And then they change the system so that it supports them. So the system, it can never work. It can never work. And this is what it shows. And then when someone tries to hold these mega corporations accountable, they change the laws. They buy the judges. They've rigged the whole system. They cannot be held accountable. And that's why the whole system needs to be changed, because it's never going to work. Never going to work. Politics and business need to be very separate. Like, you cannot have like the US is now, where you can just lobby and basically bribe your way through politics and get what you want. And it's really cheap for these companies as well. Like, they pay tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars to politicians to get what they want through super PACs, which is completely legal, by the way. It's completely legal. Through super PACs, they can pay as much money as they want to political parties or politicians, and then they get their way for peanuts. Tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. For these mega corporations, $10,000 or $100,000 is nothing. It's like if I gave $10 to a politician, I'm like, please write this law in a way I like it. Like, it's nothing for them. And it's so cheap to buy politicians for them as well, in the US specifically. That's why lobbying is like inherently like corrupt and should not happen. And there should be like very heavy caps on what can be donated to political parties and politicians. And this story of Steven Donziger it's really sad, because he was trying to hold him accountable for doing a horrendous act, Chevron doing a horrendous act, and then this is what happens. 2 years in house arrest, burying him in legal cases, and now going to jail. Is just completely unacceptable in a country that's supposed to be all about democracy and freedom, which it isn't, never has been. Anyway, if you enjoyed this little video, I would kindly ask that you hit the like button and subscribe, because that really does help me out more than you can think. I do these segments every Monday, Wednesday, Friday on twitch.tv/funwithfondue. Come on over there and hang out with me and chat over here. And there's some other content over there you can go watch if you enjoyed this. And hey, I hope you have a great day.